at our southern border here just south of McAllen, Mission, Texas area. Welcome, everybody. We are awaiting a 11:30 local time press conference with Attorney General Ken Paxton and other local sheriffs to talk about the border crisis that's going along the Texas U.S.-Mexican border. Welcome, everybody. And it starts at 11:30. Before then, we're going to recap some of the things we've done the last couple of days along the border here. We had a border tour earlier today. You go to our social media and get little highlights from that as well. Plus, last night we were out at the Roma Bluffs, really overlooking the beautiful Rio Grande River to see if we could capture any activity along that portion of the river. But next to me, beautiful Texas Highway Patrol boats that monitor the waters here up and down the Rio Grande River in this particular area. We've seen them before, and I'll say this: every time we do show this on our network, we get a lot of comments on how these boats are outfitted and ways to protect all of us right now from what's going on. And we're going to get into all of that. But first, I do want to bring in an Officer Oliveras. I believe I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago. Good to see you here back again. I wish, to be honest with you, I kind of wish we weren't doing this as often as we are now, that this border crisis would calm down quite, a little bit. Let's talk about these boats. Let's talk about your part in keeping this part of the country safe.
Okay, so we have a tactical marine unit, which is part of the Texas Department of Public Safety. It's one of our divisions, and what they specialize is patrolling the Rio Grande River to try to deter and disrupt criminal activity along the river.
What type of activity do we see? I know that I was down in Roma, and I talked to you earlier. That's more about narcotics entry point. What is it? What's the entry point along these areas?
So they normally patrol 50 miles of river. In those 50 miles, they deal with human smuggling, drugs, any type of criminal activity that's trying to cross over to the river into the U.S. So they try to deter and disrupt that as much as possible. Okay,
you guys are probably running numerous shifts. I would imagine this is a 24-hour-a-day thing, right?
Pretty much for the most part. They work various hours, various shifts. 2 to 3 boats are probably out at a time, and like I said, they cover 50 miles of river at a given time.
And I want to mention that we made our trip from McAllen up north towards Roma, towards the Laredo area. And I told you this before, I must have seen 20 units of you guys on the road. Let's talk about the built-up presence you have here, and what exactly are you looking for on the highway, and how are you handling I would think, the demand on just having a presence.
Right. So like our boats patrol the river. Same thing with our black and white patrol cars. They're on the highways, they're on the roadways. The same concept, trying to deter and disrupt criminal activity. Human smuggling, we're seeing an increase in human smuggling in vehicles, as well as narcotics as well, being smuggled in vehicles, which they load up from the river. Yep. Make it onto the roadways, into the communities, and that's where we try to intercept that as much as possible.
In full disclosure, I was pulled over last night at around 10:30 by one of your finest, and it was I had a tail light that did not come on my rental car. My error user there, so that was me, user error, I should say. So anyway, friendly officer, shout out to you guys for all professionalism. So clear disclosure, I got pulled over, which I thought I might. Let's take a look at this boat real quickly. If you could just run down kind of the size of the boat, how many you guys have, if you have any details on this at all, or and how often is this boat on the water?
So right now, like I mentioned before, these boats are operated through various hours, various shifts. They cover 50 miles of river. As you can see, they're pretty well equipped. You do have fully automatic machine guns here.
I would imagine if the moment came up, this would have to be used, obviously.
Right. There would have to be some type of deadly force used against our officers in which they're able to protect themselves. As you can see, they have the lights. They're well equipped to take care of the needs that we have right now along the border.
And I would imagine that, you guys have seen such a demand here lately, especially in the last 3-4 months, ever since some of these policies have been rolled back. We've seen increase, obviously up tenfold on illegal crossings. These boats now, are you loading up people on these boats to take them to other centers? I mean, is this a transport boat or not?
No. This boat is primarily used to patrol and disrupt that criminal activity. Now, there's been instances where these smugglers, they're getting pretty bold right now, brazen in their acts, where they push these migrants into the river. Now that turns into a rescue operation, which our operators have to rescue those individuals, and that's where they focus on that part of it.
Let's set the scene here real quick, Officer Oliveras. What is that land over there that we see?
So over there, that's Mexico, and as you can see, if you shift over there, that's the U.S. So you can see how close the proximity is. between Mexico and the U.S. side, right, to cross over.
Right. Is it out of the question to have somebody cross in the middle of the day like this? I mean, obviously they see you here, but if you weren't here, would they attempt to cross?
Oh, of course. They have scouts. They know when we're out. So whenever they know that we're not around, they're going to try to get their product across, whether it's drugs, whether it's human smuggling. They're going to make those attempts to get into the U.S.
And we were talking about the smuggling and the drugs. You know, they can make it to your hometown if you live in Ohio right now. Not to say that this is not a Texas problem. I mean, obviously we're fighting it here in Texas, but this is a problem that goes to your back door wherever you live.
Exactly. So we know the people that are being smuggled. Some of them are being smuggled out of the state into other states. Same thing as the drugs. We know right now fentanyl is increased significantly from the previous years, and now we're seeing that as a problem, not only in Texas but into other states as well.
Yeah. Any help from other agencies here in Texas for you guys? I mean, if you're short-staffed or anything like that, is there a demand to pull in some different resources?
Right now, the state is providing all the resources right now to our federal partners. We're pretty efficient when it comes to these type of operations. We can pull resources, state resources, as needed, based on operational needs. And right now, we are helping our we're helping our federal partners right now as much as possible. They're the ones that need the support right now.
Yeah, I was able to tour the border wall earlier. Amazing when it's there, and when it's not there, it is amazingly how easy it is for someone just to walk across. I would imagine the border agents themselves, and I know you can't really talk on behalf of them, right. But man, they're overworked.
They're overwhelmed. I mean, they're getting all these processing that they're having to do, all these hours they're having to put into process these migrants that are coming in. It pulls them away from the river, pulls them away from the field, and that exploits those gaps which the cartels, smuggling organizations, they use that to their advantage. Yeah,
they know what's going on. Like you said, they have people watching us here. They know we're here, and they knew that I was at Roma Bluffs last night for sure, absolutely. Yeah.
They have scouts. That's what they're paid to do. They pay these scouts to scout for law enforcement.
You'd even scout the road for you guys.
Exactly. Man.
It seems like as dumb as they are, because they're criminals, they actually are very smart in what they do, but we have to kind of outsmart them and outwit them in order to defeat them.
They're very strategic in their methods. That's why they have power. They have the money to pay these individuals, especially juveniles. We're seeing a lot of juveniles now that are being paid because they're enticed by the money. Yeah. And they see how easy it is to make money just to drive up and down the roadway to scout law enforcement.
Yeah. Well, God bless you. I'm glad to see you again. Like I said, I don't want like under these terms. I want it to be better terms, but we're glad you're here, keeping us safe, and support the men and women in law enforcement on Border Patrol, Highway Patrol, your local police department, your state police, your national police. It's all good. They're here to try to make this country a better place, and God bless you for doing it. Thank you. So all right, we'll continue coverage. Now joining us, we are live here, awaiting along the Rio Grande River, awaiting a press conference with Ken Paxton and local area sheriffs to talk about the border crisis, what's going down here. Alexandra Lains and myself have been here since Monday, taping various segments. We will see them and push that out here shortly, so you'll get an idea of what we're doing and just what's the situation. As Officer Oliveira spoke of earlier, this is primarily an area for families coming across, kids, young children, but there's certain areas that is particularly narcotics-based, drugs. Roma Bluffs, one of the most trafficked areas in the country for marijuana. So you're talking about a lot of drugs coming into this country, and when you really think about it, that's a problem that makes it to any town in America. Drugs are everywhere in this country, and they're coming through this southern border, and that's why it's so important that we support law enforcement agencies and we support policies that will secure our country. And I'm sure Attorney General Ken Paxton and others will voice their opinion and their perspective of what they're seeing here in this state, and they want this state to remain an incredible place to live. I've lived in Texas pretty much half my life, if not more. I love this state, but I have seen areas and cities really decline due to the crime that's has entered these cities, due to the fact that a lot of illegal immigration and a lot of drug dealing, things like that. So this is certainly going to hit every city here in America, just not here in Texas, but everywhere. Also, a programming note, when we leave here, we're going to Columbus, Ohio on Friday to cover a Back the Blue rally there. Now, it's very important, right, especially now in this day and time where we have a lot of, it seems like an anti-police rhetoric happening. It's important that we go out and support our men and women in law enforcement. So that happens on Saturday. We're going to travel off to Columbus, Ohio. Stay tuned for that. Plus, a lot of exciting news are going on with the network right now. We have an up-and-coming app that's getting ready to be released. We'll let you know how you get a hold of that as well. That's going to be an exciting platform that you can watch it, because as we've told you before, we have been suppressed by big tech. We are at the mercy of big tech. We don't see the views that we used to get on all of our content because we've been throttled down. We used to trump just about every other media outlet, that every event we'd go to, because of the power and the numbers that we had. But that's not the case. So it's important that we continue to push out these platforms that could promote patriotism and conservative values and all the things that we stand for right here at Right Side. Now, you could do this for us. You could go to mypillow.com. You could just go to mypillow.com and help Mike Lindell, who is a patriot of this station. He is a patriot, a true American that's trying to do everything he can to fight for freedom and liberty. And he's being canceled, very much like all of us, right, in a conservative voice. So go to the website, mypillow.com. That's mypillow.com. Put in the promo code RSBN at checkout and get up to 66% off your entire order. Now, we probably said that 1,000 times on this network, and I hope we say it 1,000 times more. But I can't stress any more hard enough that is one way that you can support us, because we get a portion of those proceeds goes to this network and allows us to do and cover the stories that we're doing today. So if you could do us a favor, Mother's Day is coming up. Great time to get mom a gift. Go to mypillow.com, put in the promo code RSBN at checkout, get up to 66% off. And they've got more than just pillows there. They got the My Store. They got all kinds of thousands of products. So you can shop away. And it's real easy. Point, click, boom, delivered to your house. Mom's happy. You're happy. The dog's happy. Everyone's happy. So go check it out at mypillow.com and you can help out Mike Lindell. All right, if you're just now joining us, well, it's a beautiful day here today. I will say this. It's been a bit windy the last couple of days. The press conference today will take place down here on the dock. The last two before that were up behind us, kind of on the street level. Very windy up hot, but for some reason down below it tends to break the wind a little bit, so it makes it a little easier for broadcast purposes. But it's a beautiful day here. It's mid-90s, a wind blowing out of the south, pretty gusty winds today, and it's been like that for the last couple of days. And I don't know if that might have been one of the reasons why we didn't see any crossings at the time that we were there. I know the wind typically likes to sit down at night, so maybe as the sun went down, they crossed more in the middle of the night. But the water seems to be a little slight chop on it now, but not too bad. These patrol boats earlier were out and about, giving Ken Paxton and local sheriffs a little bit of a tour of the river, a brief tour. I saw them leave, saw them come back, and they'll share all of their thoughts on that as well as they continue to kind of review what's going on down here. And this is a problem for all of America. And I've heard people say, if you don't really care about immigration because perhaps you live up in Montana or out in Colorado, it is a problem. It is a problem, and it not only does it from a national security standpoint, because there are some people coming into this country that we don't necessarily want. We saw at that time President Trump talk about that, how they're sending us the people that they don't want. They're not sending us their best. Their best are staying there in their country. We're getting people that they don't want. At the same time, we're getting people that are coming in this country via Mexico from the Middle East. Known terrorists, people that are on a watch list, people on a no-fly list. We don't want those individuals here as well. So this is a national security problem. So if we want to go into a local level, they've got schools here that are already crowded, as most schools are here in the state of Texas. We've had a tremendous growth of people moving to the state. We're one of the fastest growing states in the country. The fact that we've gained electorals seats. Just last week we saw that news. So a lot of people are moving here. So the schools right now are crowded. Now you combine the already people here are moving here illegally, combined with kids coming over here illegally and being thrown into our school system, which right now we all know with the way we have to conduct things with the COVID-19, it's very difficult. It's been a disruption in the school process. It's putting a strain on the educational system here. There's a language barrier. Obviously, many of these kids don't speak English when they come over, so now you have that language barrier happening. So it's a very difficult situation from a social standpoint of getting these kids in school and without disrupting the flow and the education of the kids that are already here. So it's a dynamic situation. Plus, you have a lot of the housing. We've had stash houses that we've come across. We'll show some pictures on social media. It's just not a healthy scene. So something needs to be done. Hopefully, Attorney General Ken Paxton will talk about that and what they can do to help curb this. And of course, the Biden administration knew exactly what was going to happen if they rolled back some of these guidelines. They were warned by the Trump administration that this was happening. We've seen the border wall. And go to our social media, by the way, on our Instagram stories. I posted up some footage that we shot earlier today that will show you portions of the wall that were stopped. It's like the construction crews were there last night and they just left this morning and never came back. That's what it looks like. But these walls need to be completed because walls work. And what's happening now is the walls are so porous, the border is so porous with sections that are undone. There's more entry points now. There's more places for people to go, which spreads out the Border Patrol and their ability to really connect and capture these people. And what the walls would do if they were in full effect is the walls would force people to only go a few places for entry point, right? So you're eliminating a lot of entry points and you're increasing the chances that someone will be apprehended. That's all it does. That's what the walls do. And they're 19 feet high, and we've seen ladders that these people put up against these 19 foot tall walls trying to climb over. It doesn't work. So that's why walls protect people from coming in. So if we can get it where they're funneled to any particular area, it increases the chance that they get caught, and that's how you control it. We also went downtown. We didn't get any video of this, and perhaps because there wasn't anything going on, but we saw where the Catholic Charities, and there's so many people talking about right now how they are funneling kids, this conveyor belt of immigration through Catholic Charities, and then out to a city near you, either on a bus to the airport, or on a bus to another city. That's happening right now, and these kids they walk out with clean clothes, backpack, and the whole bit. And don't get me wrong, folks, we're talking about kids. We're talking about kids that have gone through a horrible journey just to get here, and by any means we want to make sure that they're taken care of. But at the same time, we have to be really aware that there's a process for this, and we need to make sure that we're not needlessly spending millions and millions of dollars. And that's exactly what's happening now. I tell you what, let's walk along these boats. If you're just now joining us, where we are along this dock here, just in the park. It's a park here. And I'm not going to try to pronounce the name because I will jack that up and I will get ridiculed for mispronouncing it there. But it's a park here near Mission, Texas. This is where Border Patrol, or the Texas Highways Patrol, docks their boats when they're not, in use, to go out and survey the area and patrol it. We just heard from Officer Oliveros about all of that and how these guys right here. I mean, obviously, what you're looking at is a very capable weapon to hopefully protect the men and women that are on these boats, but also to protect you and I from bad guys coming over. So it gives you an idea what these state troopers, and these are state troopers, by the way. And so if you thought state troopers here in Texas, you see these units everywhere. They're black and white units, state patrol rolling around Texas highways. Well, they also roll around in these boats. And so it's got to be an amazing journey to work for this organization. I mean, they're protecting you and I, and they're doing it every day. And there's a reason why they have guns on these boats, because we're talking about some really bad people that they can come across, and that's something that we want to make sure that we protect everybody. Hey, if you're just now joining us, welcome. We talked about this before. We are continuing to expand our content. We're continue to expand our platforms as well, as we are going into this era of, it seems like, big tech throttle takedown that we're seeing. There is a boat parade coming up in Jupiter, Florida on May 31st. Now, I just got off the phone with the couple that is pretty much organizing this boat parade. It's May 31st, Jupiter, Florida. We're going to share some information on our social media. And the reason why I bring this up right now is they just told me that Facebook has been canceling every time they put up an event page for their boat parade, it gets deleted. And they had up to I think 15,000 followers on this one page to update people about this boat parade, and big tech just keeps wiping off that calendar notification. So we're telling you right now, we are going to be there in Jupiter, Florida on May 31st. I will put up a link on our social media so you can get involved. We saw exactly how big that Trumparilla boat parade was in Tampa a few weeks ago, which is a spinoff of the Gasparilla boat parade. We saw how big that was, and it was a very short notice. It was very limited notice because, once again, big tech will throttle down any kind of promotion for anything regarding Trump, and that's exactly what happened. So we're here to tell you right now, May 31st, if you're in Florida, South Florida, West Palm Beach, Jupiter, anywhere, we got people dragging boats from all across the country. We'll put up a link of where you can go and how you can get involved. We're going to be on, get this, breaking news for you, Gage. This is great news here. We're going to be, there's two lead boats. There's like a 75-foot boat and there's a 55-foot boat. We're going to be on the second lead boat for that boat parade, and then we're going to be on a media boat as well that will go around and get various shots. So we're going to have full team coverage there for this boat parade happening on May 31st. I want to make sure you guys know that, because I know Boaters for Trump's a big organization, especially in South Florida. So we're going to be there. We want you to be there too, no matter where you live. Hey, you know what? Maybe they'll let us take this boat. I don't know. Hey, I'll cruise the rivers there around South Florida in one of these boats all day long. 11:30 press conference scheduled for Attorney General Ken Paxton and others. We talked to some sheriffs just yesterday about what they see in this area and what they come across, and they are battling it too. They have an overworked staff. Their resources are limited in some of these counties that aren't as big as some of these others financially, and so it's one of those situations where they need your help and they need your support, and which I'll go into the Back the Blue rally that we're doing in Columbus on Saturday. Follow our social media for that. Make sure that you tag a friend. If you've got people that you're having these conversations about law enforcement and the attack of men and women. Of course, we saw the event that happened in Columbus when the officer saved another girl's life. Those are the things that we're seeing. That's a heroic act. So we're here to support our men and women of law enforcement, and that's one of the reasons why we're here today, actually, to support men and women in Border Patrol. But we will be there on Saturday, providing you coverage for that rally. It's a Back the Blue. We'll put it up on our social media so you can see that and be aware of anything that goes on law enforcement agency related. We're there to help you see all of that. I'm just kind of spin the camera around. We're up here. It kind of gives you an idea. This is kind of a staging area. We have a pull-up dock. We've got a couple little networks that were down there earlier filming some stuff. I had a chance to talk to Ken Paxton earlier. We were going to try to record an interview before the press conference, but they were just short on time. They had to kind of get back to their hotel and do some things before making it back here at around 11:20, I guess, with 11:30 start time on this press conference. It's 11:23 now. We should see them come in shortly. Hopefully, if they do come in, we have a chance to talk to them before we get started. We will have to position the camera as a side note here back on the tripod to stage it. Because let me show you. This gives you a good idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 12, about a dozen local and online media outlets here covering this presser. I've seen it be a little bigger earlier when we had Ted Cruz and John Cornyn and 13 other senators, which is to be expected. But good media presence here today. People are ready to see, and this is it. This is great. This is organic as you get. We're going to put up a microphone. Someone's going to stand in front of it, and they're going to take some questions and talk about the issues that are affecting you and I today. That's exactly how they do it today, and we are proud to be here for that. So, I mean, look at it. When you look at this this river, and of course, as Officer Oliveras told us, that is Mexico across there. I don't anticipate anybody trying to cross today. That would be just outright stupid if someone tried to cross today, because we're all here. But this is one of the entry points, and we were able, I don't know, Gage, if you could show that tree line, that darker tree line back there, if you could see it. I don't know how it might turn out on camera. We were back in there, and that is kind of a riverbed, a dried up riverbed that connects to the river. So if they're able to cross from your left screen to right, they can get in this riverbed and go and make it to a county road that's nearby. Now, along that riverbed, we saw water bottles, Gatorade bottles, clothes, paperwork, luggage tags, all kinds of stuff. And of course, I don't know how they get luggage across the river, but nevertheless, I'm sure they find a way to do it. But they make it from the riverbed up to these county roads, and that's when they have someone that would load them in their vehicle and then take them where they need to go. Or, they could just kind of venture off on foot and manage to disappear. And that's one of the things that once people come across undetected and they can get out into a public space where you might be able to have some transportation or maybe hide out somewhere, that they're gone. There's really not much you can do after that. So that's why it's so important that these men and women of law enforcement catch these individuals here before they get off into the public. And of course, the wall, there's portions of the wall, we'll show that was right up against businesses. It's right up against some mobile homes, some retirement homes. This area, a lot of snowbirds during the winter come down here to South Texas and spend the winter. And so a lot of those mobile homes are right next to the river where people would cross and walk by their neighborhood. So I just ask you, with some of the hardened criminals that are coming across this country, would you want your backyard right there where these people can just walk through? Now, I was told that a lot of times by neighbors told me that they don't really see a lot of them stay there, that they do cross through and continue to walk. But nevertheless, I don't think you want them hanging around your property at all. They're just not a good situation. Of course, we talked about the kids that are involved. We talked about, there's a piece that we're going to push out here on our channels. We went with a local congresswoman and she toured us around this general area. Her husband is in law enforcement as well. So she hears the story. She hears him coming home and talking about the day that he's had. And we heard Lindsey Graham say it here, that some of these men and women, I don't know how they go home at the end of the day after seeing what they've seen, to try to take care of these kids that have been abandoned, and all these families that have been broken up, and these women that have been brutally gang raped. And then shared a story of a 7-year-old that had been raped so many times that she even lost her voice. So horrible stories here. And we're only telling you these stories so that you know them, so you can get active in your community and wherever you live, because it's important that we all get involved. And I think it's all important that we get involved in politics in one way or another. If you're not somebody that wants to get on the front line and you're not available, don't have the time, or you just don't want it, it's not in you, there's things that you can do in your own community. Share this post. Share posts of other conservative viewpoints that you enjoy watching, that you are speaking the facts and truth. So that's what you can do. Be a social media warrior in a good way, and share broadcasts like this that raise the awareness of what's going on along the border. If you turn on the mainstream media, chances are you won't see this. I don't know if there's any media outlet here today that's national like that. I don't think there is, but you're not going to see it. So you've got to watch outlets like Right Side Broadcasting. So, and which reminds me, go to our website, rsbnetwork.com, rsbnetwork.com. We continually to update our schedules and different shows that we have coming out, and some archive shows as well. So if you want to see the best of some Trump, we probably got that on there. You want to see a Trump speech from, Washington, Michigan, got that. That was, by the way, the coldest I've ever been on a rally. So you can watch all these old rallies. Go to our website, and soon you'll be able to go to our app, so that we can continue to bring more coverage to you as we get throttled down. We have 1.5 million subscribers onto YouTube, and to think that sometimes we only get a handful of views is just, I don't statistically don't know how that happens. Facebook seems to be performing okay, so if you would, please just keep sharing this broadcast on Facebook, as we'll get the numbers up back on across our social media. But we ultimately have to fight against big tech and be able to do it on our own. We're going to walk over here. We're probably moments away from this starting. It's about Local time 11:29, scheduled for 11:30. I want to make sure we're in place here. We've got to do a little bit of audio, some technical, pull the curtain back, a little bit of audio and video adjustments here. I'll let Gage walk through there as we get ready to get our camera back on the tripod to be able to bring this press conference to you here. That's happened, well, I said about 11:30, but we know how these things happen. You know, for someone who's covered President Trump for a while, we know that sometimes the time is not the time, right? It's the time that they get there, so which we understand. There's kind of a long travel. We're based in McAllen the last couple days, but a lot of our stuff was remote, so we did have to drive 45 minutes to an hour every time we'd go to a shoot, so that did definitely cut into a little bit of the schedule and transportation. So we are very understanding when we're falling a little bit behind on schedule. But anyway, we're glad you're here. There's some local media here as well, which is always nice. A lot of various media outlets that are here, and it's always good to see some familiar faces at these press conferences, as I think we all just want to get the news out and get the truth out of what's going on here in South Texas, and not just here, but the border crisis along the Arizona-U.S. border as well, another hotbed for immigration. We don't hear a whole lot with New Mexico, but the area for that is relatively small. But nevertheless, California, Arizona, Texas seem to be really active right now in terms of immigration. Now, it all kind of goes back to Joe Biden and some of the comments that he has made, and we've seen the things that he's made before. We see candidate Joe Biden talk about immigration and restrictions and the wall, and just how evil the wall is, and we've seen the result of stopping that, and we've seen the result of reversing the immigration. And we've talked to plenty of locals here, more than we could ever want to put on camera, and they've all said the same thing. We need border protection. We need security. That's one of the reasons why these families come from a lot of these Central American countries. They're coming for protection and security, and as a parent of three, I'm with them on that. I'm 100% agree with them coming here wanting a better life for protection and security, but a lot of times these families are turning these kids over to kind of like a third party, an independent coyote, if you will, to run them to various places here in the country, and that's where the danger it comes into play with these kids. Obviously right now it's mid-90s and it's hot, it's sunny, and we're going into the summer months right now, and it's going to get really hot down here in South Texas. So this is one of the things that we've got to keep in mind, and that's one of the reasons why you see a lot of these the activity happening at night. It's a little cooler at night. When I say cooler, if it's in the 80s, that's a little cooler, right? But that's why you see a lot of the activity happening at the night and not necessarily in the middle of the day. Also on planes, the last time I flew out of San Antonio to go to Dallas, there was about a dozen young kids on that flight. All had the same shirts, same bags, same duffel bags, same lanyards, same everything. So obviously they're being put on a plane. And of course, we saw that in Dallas at the convention center, being put into the convention center, which can only hold, I drove by the first couple of days that they were there, and it was very difficult to imagine them housing thousands of young adults in the convention center, because there was absolutely, I don't know how there's no toiletries, there's no food, there's no kitchen access like that. So I'm just amazed at how they were able to create these living spaces in some of these buildings that aren't intended to hold and house anybody in that respect. So that's the situation here. I don't know if there's any way to fix it. That's one of the things that's, I guess, is the $1 million question here. How do we fix this? How do we get our immigration under control and be able to eliminate some of the illegal crossings, and of course the narcotics that comes across our border as well? I don't know how you do it. But anyway, I just was told that Ken Paxton and his team are en route as we speak, so I don't know where they sent that from, the text where they're at when they sent that to me, but nevertheless they will be here shortly, and the press conference, from what I understand, will last about 30 to 45 minutes. So it won't be one of these traditional 2-hour press conferences. It's going to be relatively quick. Get the information out there and let everyone decide what they want and come up with a solution to kind of get everything back in line. If you just now join us, welcome. We are live here in South Texas, just south of McAllen and the Mission area. We are on a boat ramp. It's at a public park. This is kind of where a lot of the DPS tours on these boats that you're looking at right now, they are Border Patrol boats. It's operated by the Texas Highway Patrol. You've probably seen, if you're in Texas, you've probably seen the black and white state police, state police highway patrol cruising around our Texas highways. Well, they got boats too. And they've got some pretty nice boats that patrol these waters. So you're taking a look at what you have here, and also the weapons that they have on there, the guns, the artillery that they have to protect themselves. And we talked to Officer Oliveras here earlier about that and how it's not it's not uncommon for them to encounter some bad guys out there, and they want to make sure that they protect who all is on that boat. Earlier we saw Kim Paxton and others on these boats cruising around these waters, giving them a brief tour. I did ask Ken if he saw anything unusual, and it was not really. I mean, it was just kind of just saw kind of the landscaping. There's some areas that are designated for drop-off points. So once you come across the river, there's areas that are designated to where people would then enter the U.S. through that marshy grass that's back there, and then basically disappear into the vegetation. And then hopefully, if there's a whole system here, hopefully they're picked up by a car of some sort, a motorcycle, whatever, and then taken to a different area. Last night was really interesting because we saw a half-gallon of milk that was on a street corner, and it was not there when we first got there. But then about an hour later, went back and noticed it and said, wait, there's a half-gallon of milk. And so I went up and felt the milk. I wouldn't say it was warm, but I wouldn't say it was cold. So what that signifies, I don't know. One of the local people that we were with said that's just one way that if someone is passing through, it's like they'll take, if they have milk and they want to leave it for someone else as an opportunity to basically feed themselves a little bit, because the journey that they're on is, I would imagine, long and tired. They need it for nutrition. Now the flip side of that, it could be a signal. It could be some type of signal to other people of what is going on. It could be police presence, could be whatever it is. They weren't really quite sure, but in any event, you see that a lot. You see a lot of odd things in and around that area that was just makes you scratch your head and go, don't really understand it. Last night we did feel like there were several people that were kind of watching us, and if you'd missed that broadcast, I encourage you to go by and re-watch it. We were at the Roma Bluffs observation deck there, and that you got to see it, because you look across, you've got Mexico, you got kids playing, you got farms, you have goats and things like that, but then at night it did turn a little different. It had more young men walking down to the water's edge there, and as the sun officially went down there at about local time, about 8:12, you would see the young men go down to the vegetation, kind of what you're looking at right now. And if you can throw it out that far, I'm not sure if you can get that, but kind of what you see there, vegetation, and they just disappear and they stay inside the vegetation. I would imagine, I don't know why you'd walk down at sundown to go sit under a tree and some bushes, and there was a group of about 10 of them, and they would stay there. Now, obviously, it was too dark. We couldn't find out if they would walk away or what happened, because we had to go. But that gives you an idea of what happens when the sun goes down along these entry points here. It does get very, very active. If you're now joining us, welcome. We're live awaiting an 11:30 press conference with Ken Paxton and some local sheriffs. But before we get into that, I want to make sure you have a chance to really support this network and support a fine patriot of all of us. Mike Lindell has been, without a doubt, one of the greatest patriots and victims of cancel culture that we've seen here in modern times in society, really. I take a guy that has put himself out there, first was criticized, for even having a meeting with the president early on. Having a brief meeting with him was criticized for that, and really by the media and by a lot of deep state. And so they tried to go after his business. They tried to ruin this guy. They tried to put him out of business. But guess what? Patriots like you and me stepped up to support him. So right now, go to mypillow.com. That's mypillow.com, and shop away. And that is one way to fight big tech. That's one way to fight cancel culture, is to just do it with your wallet and do it with your phone right now. You're on your phone, you're watching on your computer. It's a beautiful day. If you're at the office right now, that's one way to support him as he continues to fight not only for his company, but he's also with his new application, Frank. I mean, we were there with him on his launch, and we saw exactly he had millions of people trying to get on that app and take advantage of the fact that it's kind of an open, free space for conservative talk, and rightfully so. I mean, it's kind of what the right we have here. But go to his website, support him. He is a patriot. He needs your support for cancel culture. And of course, some of those proceeds, oddly enough, go back to help us here at this network to continue to do the things that we're doing right now. We are traveling across this country post-election because, the election changed everything for a lot of news organizations. It changed their direction. It changed their focus. It changed their staffing. But we continue to fight. We continue to keep covering the events that affect you and I. And we are, without a doubt, a network that wants to put America first. We are all about putting America first, and that's what we want to do here at Right Side. So we're glad you're joining us. Also, on a program note, coming up on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, we will be at America's Crate. It is a phenomenal subscription service that will send you these tailored boxes full of gifts, all stuff that's made in America, whatever your interests are. If it's hunting and fishing, or you like pop culture, various boxes. You basically fill out a survey to tell them what your interests are, and they would tailor a box made for you with gifts that are made in America. So that we will be in Kentucky on May 5th, and we're going to record that. And you'll see that at a later date, and we'll get you a show date on that very, very soon. But to let you know, we are in the middle of developing some other programming. We got an outdoor hunting and fishing show right from the pages of an outdoor magazine. So it's called Right Outside. So just great stuff. So if you're not into politics and you kind of want to take a break on things like that, we got that. We can do that for you as well. We can do the outdoor stuff. We have some comedians that are coming on to kind of give us a comedic look at the world that we live in. Because, let's just be honest with you. It seems like the world of politics is funny. It's a very funny world. And so we've got some people coming on board to talk about that and politics from a comedic standpoint. Of course, we've seen all the clips of Biden, of course, and we've seen, and of course, in all fairness, all politicians are subject to a little bit of political humor. That's just the nature, I think, of our landscape there. So it's always fun to do that. But we have that coming up for you as well. But we're glad you're joining us. We have been here in South Texas since Monday night. Monday afternoon, late Monday afternoon, we came in. We did some stuff along a portion of the border that's not open right now, that was never finished. We did some stuff there. Yesterday, we spent the majority of the day in Roma, Texas, just north of here on the Roma Bluffs. Beautiful city. It was probably, from what I understand, they shot some movies there back in the late 50s, very Spanish style, very homemade Spanish bricks. The architecture there is beautiful. But in recent years, that city has gone to the worst, as we've seen a lot of illegal immigrants, and not necessarily families and kids. We've seen more of the cartel, the drug side of things, go through that city. And of course, along with that comes a lot of crime, and that's what they've seen in this area. But we spent a lot of time there. We also spent time not too far from where we're at right now, going through and seeing exactly what it looks like when someone does cross over the terrain. They have to make their way through the high brush, the stickers, the vegetation, the 19-foot wall that's constructed. They try to put up, an 8-9 foot ladder to get over a 19-20 foot wall. A lot of that doesn't make sense to you and I, but that's some of the measures that people will go through to get over that wall that has been stopped. And I encourage you right now to go to Right Side's Instagram. Alexandra Lains and myself did a video where we're actually underneath the wall that is to be constructed, that was stopped. Amazing stuff. Go check it out right now. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it, and I was talking to some local people that live in the area, and they were ecstatic that this wall was being constructed right near their property. It would be a major deterrent for people to come over at that point. And so whenever they heard that they were stopping the construction of the wall, it became one of these things where, okay, so you're not going to build the wall. There's nothing stopping these people from coming over. So now I have people coming across my property. There's local businesses. There's a bar nearby. There's a restaurant nearby. So local businesses, people want this wall. And I think it's kind of ironic that we're here. This is my third time here in the last maybe 40 days. Alexandra Lains, political commentator, she's around here somewhere. This is her first time here. Like, we're here before Vice President has been here, and also President Biden. So I think they need to address what's going on down here instead of just kicking this immigration can down the road and just thinking it's not a problem and we're going to deal with it later. And what we've learned is there's a lot of money in this immigration process. There's a lot of money in being involved right now. And we can look into that at a later time. But this is a business for both the U.S. and both the Mexican side. And we have heard this before, and I'm going to say it again. Immigration on the Mexico side is controlled by the cartels. They will absolutely control who goes where and at what time. And once they get caught trying to come across without being authorized by the cartels, could simply run the risk of being killed. And we've had people tell us that. When they see a body floating in the river, a lot of times it's not because they drowned, it's because they were murdered and tossed into the river as a symbolic gesture, as a sign. But that's what happens when you don't go through the cartel. So the cartels are making an extremely large amount of money right now from this open immigration policy that we have. Now, would that change if Biden came out today and said, stopping it, we're going to send you everyone back, we don't come here, we're going to just send you back? Perhaps it would. We know that the numbers decreased under the Trump administration because that was one of his campaign promises, that he was going to build a wall and become tough on immigration. And something that I would think that any great law-abiding American would want, that especially if you live along these border cities here. So that is the state of the wall. Go to our Instagram page. I will continue to share that video on our Facebook page as well when we get done with the press conference here. But it is amazing stuff there. And just think that the wall looks like last night they just finished and they didn't come back to work today. It's that complete, on the job, tools dropped, everything like that. So go check it out as well. If you're just now joining us, welcome. We are live here awaiting 11:30. Now coming up on local time here, 11:47, running a little bit late. I've got some people, I've just got a message from the campaign. They are still en route, should be here shortly. I would imagine we talked to a couple of sheriffs yesterday about this press conference, and they voiced their concerns about their counties that they represent, the area that they represent, and they've seen an increase in crime. They've seen an increase of the demand of their law enforcement officials, and that the fact that they're not staffed to make all the calls that they're being required to make. This is on the law enforcement side, because you can imagine if there's some illegal activity spotted and they've got to send somebody out to investigate, or perhaps there's an injury involved that ties up the medical staff. So you can imagine the resources that one illegal crossing pulls and draws in. And of course, if you got dozens and dozens happening at the same time, it's hard to process everybody at once. We've seen that. We've seen the video of dozens of people underneath the overpass being processed and being basically escorted onto these buses and sent off. It's like the amount of people that we're seeing, that's the problem. I don't think, obviously during the Trump administration, I got into a WWE cage match with somebody in the comments section on Facebook. We've always had people coming in this country. We've always had people getting apprehended, but not by the numbers that we're seeing today. That's the problem. That's the problem. And the fact that we have this wall, this unconstructed wall, or even portions of the wall that are wide open, we're allowing more people to go through more access points. Therefore, it's spreading our law enforcement agencies thin to get them. So if we were able to basically complete the wall and have it where we were funneling them to a particular zone, we don't need as many people, right? Because we've got them funneled right there, and so our resources can work otherwise. Because I talked to someone earlier about just the way they patrol the highways here. I mean, we're taking law enforcement people that should be working along some of our highways, and we're bringing them down here on the border to work, and so therefore maybe our highways are less safe. So that's why immigration affects everything, not just the border. It affects the highways near your town. It'll affect the drug trafficking near your town. It'll affect everything. It'll affect your schools where you live. I mean, we've already got a problem with our schools now with overcrowding. So we want to put in more immigrant children in our schools to put more stress on teachers, less space for all of that. So I just encourage you right now to share this broadcast and tag a friend, like it, star it, comment on it where you're watching us from. We need to get as many people watching this broadcast as possible, because this is some very important stuff. So if you've been blind to the immigration policies and the problems that we have here right now, now's the time to open up your eyes and listen to what these guys are going to say here in a little bit about what's really going on and how it can affect your hometown wherever you're watching us right now, because it is a serious issue, especially when we get into the primary season next year, the election season. A lot of candidates are going to come out and say, I'm immigration first. I want immigration. I'm going to do this and this and that. But where did they stand back in 2020? Where did they stand back in 2021? Where were they when we were calling for action? So let's not let some of these politicians step up when it gets really fiery and hotty and it becomes kind of a topical of conversation because it's bullet points and it gets the buzz from the media. I want people talking about it now, not 2022. October 2022. I want it now. So I encourage you to get this broadcast out to as many people as possible, because it's just very important. I can't say that enough, especially with big tech suppression, as we are probably one of the largest conservative voices on the internet right now, and it's important that we stay like that and we continue to get the number of views and likes and shares on our content as we did during the campaign season, because when during the campaign season, that was it. We owned it. But now we're in a different space now. That's why we need your help. You can always go to our website, rsbnetwork.com/donate, rsbnetwork.com/donate. Go in there, donate. We talked about before, we had campaign people tell us, when you think that you can just give $5, $10, that it doesn't really go very far. That's where you're missing out, because if we have thousands of people that can do that just a little bit, it helps out. And that's why campaign donations, some people say back in the day, hey, my average campaign donation was $10. Well, you add that up over the millions of people that donate and follow your campaign, it does add up to a lot of money. So we do encourage you to go to our website right now at rsbnetwork.com/donate and donate what you can. Let me step aside. You're probably tired of looking at me, and we got cameras over here getting ready to set up. But behind me, we got a couple of Texas Highway Patrol boats that their job is to patrol this very beautiful Rio Grande River that's behind us on the daily basis, trying to intercept any illegal activity that goes on along the river. As they told us, they're not here to transport people on this. This is not one of the boats that picks them up. Now, obviously, if someone's in the water, perhaps needs aid and assistance, perhaps that is the way they do it. But these are not transport boats for that. These are boats that are there to break up and really deter any kind of illegal activity that goes on. These, and as you can see, it's very intimidating with the firepower that's on the boat there. Of course, as a boat enthusiast, you've got 3 Mercury 350s on the back. So if you want to get up and go pretty quick and chase the bad guys, I think we've got the boat for you. So there you have it. We are waiting. They are en route. They're a little bit late today, but that's quite okay. That's the nature of what they're doing down here, as nothing's really close in this area, and we found that out. If you want to go from McAllen even to up to Laredo, it's a couple hours at least to get up there. So it's a big state, big area. And that's why it's important that we're here today to cover all of this, because I live up in the North Dallas area, and we have seen an influx of what immigration does to that area. And let me just be crystal clear on this before I go any further. I am all for legal immigration. I don't think I've ever met a person that's against legal immigration. It is the wonderful thing about this country. We were built on immigrants. We were built on, my family heritage goes back to England in 1700s coming here. That is my family heritage. And so we are all about that. We just need to find an organized way to funnel people through our country in a legal fashion and as promptly as possible. Because right now it does take too long to get everything processed. We've had people, back when I was with Salem Radio Network, I had somebody on my show one time. They said they came here on a scholarship from Russia, and it took them 15 years to become a U.S. citizen just because of the paperwork and the court dates and, of course, the money. There's a lot of money in this. So we do need some type of immigration reform to do it legally and speed it up. Perhaps if we did that, we would curb the illegal immigration. You want to get a shot of that? I don't know if we can get a... And you see that little air support. We heard that earlier. They do it by car, by boat, and by air, helicopter. I haven't, just to be full transparent, I haven't seen it a lot today, but the last couple of times we saw it a ton of times, but not so much today. But there you go. They are up in the air as well. They also have drones. We talked about that before. Very sophisticated drones that can fly over an area and do a little surveillance on areas they just can't get to. These drones, I was told that you wouldn't even hear them. You wouldn't see them or hear them because they're pretty high tech. And so they'll fly these drones over these areas as well to try to intercept any activity. Now, I will say this, earlier we were back in that dried up riverbed off to your right, my left, and it was reported not too long after right before we got there, they spotted 5 individuals along that riverbed. So it was kind of a hot zone. So we had to basically, let's just pack it up and let those guys do their jobs. But they're coming across that, and that's what they do. Now either they'll spot them via the air or by a ground unit. We'll spot these individuals and then relay that to another, authority to be able to pursue them. But this happens on a daily basis. And we were kind of joking that if you're a Border Patrol agent, I can't imagine there's ever a boring day at work in this line of field, because this is an ongoing situation here. No matter if you're in South Texas, you're in West Texas, like El Paso, definitely, with the city of Juarez right there on the border. I'm sure they go through the same challenges as they do down here. And plus, if you're in the Yuma, Arizona, and the California border there, same situation. These border agents are stretched out for time. They're stressed out. Personnel-wise, they need help. They need people from resources from all around to come and help them, and hopefully they can get that help. But it first starts in the White House. We have to get the Biden administration to really finish the wall. And I think they announced a few weeks ago that they were entertaining the notion of finishing the wall, which would be nice because that would help funnel people to certain areas along the border that's easier to pursue them and get them. But to have it porous like that, it serves nobody. It doesn't do any good because they know exactly where to go through. We talked to Officer Oliveris earlier, and if these people are very sophisticated, they've got a network that will allow them, they know where you're at, they know the kind of the shift changes, they know the traffic patterns. They have people that go up and down the highways and will actually report numbers of vehicles that they see on the road. We were pulled over just last night, and I actually made a joke of it beforehand that said, hey, as many highway patrolmen are out here, and I wasn't speeding, by the way. I'll get to that in a second. I was like, I would love to talk to one of these highway patrol officers and find out, what is their daily, what does it look like on the daily for them as far as number of cars they pull over? What are they looking for? What's the reason why they pulled them over? So I got pulled over last night. Officer approached my car. And of course, what do? Turn the keys off, put the keys on the dash, window down, hand on the window, like full obedience, right? Full compliance. Officer came up, said, let me see your driver's license. I asked, why was I pulled over? And they said, well, you have a light out in the back. Well, come to find out, I'm in a rental van. I'm in a minivan. and which wasn't familiar with the knobs in the minivan, so I must not have turned all of the lights on. So my headlights might have been on a dim or maybe a low setting, or maybe in the daylight setting, but I had no tail lights. So she pulled me over and said, I just want to make sure that they work. Once we figured out it was a user error on my fault, she gave us a warning and we were along our way. But before we did that, I said, let me ask you a question. Like, how often do you pull people over on a daily basis, knowing that there's, 10 to 15 units just alongside this road? She says all day long for various reasons, speeding, right? Lane changes, things like that. Registration violations, things like that. So they're looking for really suspicious activity, and that's their job. And so the fact that I didn't have my lights on in my car, A, it's a safety hazard, first and foremost. And then B, maybe I was up to someone that was up to no good. Maybe I was stolen a car that I wasn't familiar with. So you never know. But what I'm trying to get here, these men and women in law enforcement are extremely understaffed right now because of the situation, and they're overworked. So we want to keep them in our prayers and thoughts as we move forward, and hopefully we can kind of curve some of the problems that's been escalating here along the border. Also, if you missed an earlier programming note, we'll be in Columbus, Ohio on Saturday for a Back to Blue rally there. As we do know that the situation that came out of that city last week, or week before last, about the police shooting there. So we are going to talk to some officers there in Columbus, and it's kind of a Back to Blue rally, kind of to show our law enforcement agency that, you're out there putting yourself on the line every day. You're risking your life to serve others, and we want to support them. So we encourage you, if you're living that kind of Columbus, Ohio, anywhere in Ohio, come see us. Come drive down there and be a part of that. We'll put that up on our social media, on our Instagram and our Facebook, and of course our Twitter, so you can get all the information there. Hey, if you're not following me on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, you can do that. Go to @BrianGlenn TV, and that's BrianGlenn TV, @BrianGlenn TV, and give me a follow, like us there, share our broadcast. I come from the news side. I was in the news side for 25 years working for a big news organization, and I felt like the point for me was to step out and get into right side and really share the conservative viewpoint. It looks like we might be getting ready to stage. Let me get out of the way so the other camera guys here can do their job, as I'm right in front of them blocking their way. So if I will step through here, I don't want to mess up your shot, my friend. Let me get out of here. Of course, I have a nice young lady behind me. Make sure you get in there. I want to make sure you got your shot. So go ahead and get in there. So as the media starts to come here, I think that we could be close to an arrival for our Ken Paxton and other local sheriffs. It's 12:01 local time. Glad you're joining us. This was originally started for 11:30, but a little slight delay, but that's okay. We'll get this underway for you here shortly. And as a reminder, you can always go to our website, rsbnetwork.com/donate, if you care to give and donate any type of finances as you can to help us out on all of our endeavors as we continue to travel the country and bring you all this coverage. You're looking at now kind of a mic check. This is a gentleman who does a lot of the media, social media, and digital content for the Attorney General of Texas. So he's doing a little bit of an audio check. Do we need to jump out of here? You want to do white balance real quick? We'll get a quick white balance. Let me jump off and get a sound check for you. We'll be right back. Stand by.
Good. Everybody good? All right, thanks.
All right, now that we get kind of the audio check from the microphone complete, welcome. It looks like we do have Attorney General Ken Paxton and others have just arrived here at the docks. They'll make their way through security, and they'll make their way in front of the podium. We'll hear, from what I understand, lasts about 30 to 40 minutes. Not a lengthy conference, but nevertheless a needed conference at this time. So we're glad you're joining us. We are starting a little bit late, but please, if you could, share this broadcast and get as many likes and views that we can get on it. I just was told that the Paxton team shared out our video, and we appreciate them doing that, and we should appreciate their support as we are all in this together. And as someone who's lived in Texas the majority of their life, and California on the other half, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to help spread the word of what's going on here in the state of Texas. As always, earlier today we were along other sections of the border, and if you want to see that footage, just go to our social media page, particularly on Instagram. As we get out of here and the internet gets a little better, I'll share that to our Twitter feed and our Facebook feeds as well, but definitely that's one good place you can check out all of this content that we're gathering, as we've been here since Monday night along the border, just trying to gather the stories, hearing the stories of people that are here, and to try to help out and spread the word of what's going on here on the southern border, not only just from a political standpoint, but from a human standpoint, because there's a lot of families, there's a lot of of course we talked about the schools that are being stressed out as well with the attendance and the influx. Wonderful. We were just told that Ken Paxton will be joining us here on the deck here shortly. They just arrived. They're going to be walking down here in front of us. This is the first time we broadcasted on this dock. Before we were up a little higher, but now it actually is better today, because not only the visuals are extremely positive with the boats behind us, but also with the wind that has been kicking up the last couple of days here out of the south, about 15 to 20 miles an hour. So definitely from an audio standpoint and a visual standpoint, we're not at least battling the wind. We're here down on the deck, so which is a good thing. A lot of law enforcement agencies here, a lot of state police are here. I'd probably say we got about 15 of these individuals, men and women here from all counties. We got sheriffs, got the list of sheriffs not put up on my phone, but I'll try to get to that in just a second. It's about 12:05 here local time, and we'll continue to bring this to you live and uninterrupted. And of course, after this, we're going to push out a piece that we did yesterday along the border and really share some of the stories of the human trafficking that's going on. So stay tuned for that, to our YouTube channel, Facebook, obviously, and we are coming up on Apple Plus, Hulu, Roku, and of course all the other streaming platforms that we continue to expand on to keep the voices out. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over to the podium mic so we can catch any of the introductions. So stick around, share this broadcast. Coming up, Ken Paxton and local sheriffs.
Thank you all for being here. It's a beautiful day in Texas, but it's certainly not a perfect day in Texas because we have a border crisis. And I've certainly seen evidence both visiting facilities in San Antonio, Midland, and also here, and seeing what's going on with these children. And then also spending a lot of time with Customs and Border Patrol and realizing what they're up against. First of all, I want to say how much I appreciate them for the work that they're doing, for the work that they're doing for the country to protect us. They are doing an amazing job under intense pressure and under conditions that they shouldn't have to deal with. So I appreciate the time I've had to spend with them, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate the work that they do, the fact that they risk their lives. And I also want to thank our state police, many of them who are behind me, and my staff. And I particularly want to thank those who took us out today. Major John Lopez was our captain. And I just appreciate these guys going up and down this river and risking their lives. And again, trying to protect our state when they're also limited by what federal law and what the federal government is doing. I'm here to see what's going on and call attention to Texans and to the American people that this is a problem and that the way that we are dealing with it is not working. And the very things that worked so well during the last few years that curtailed this have been totally taken away, and now we're under tremendous pressure. I've also had the opportunity while I'm down here to meet with different sheriffs from Texas. There's nothing better than a Texas sheriff, and I think we have a few of those here as well today, and I would love for a couple of those guys to come up. And I don't know what order you guys are coming up, but they are on the ground. These guys are dealing with this issue of illegal immigration and what's happening over the last several months every single day. and I applaud them for their efforts, but they're being overwhelmed, and I'd like for a few of them to tell their story. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, absolutely.
Hello, my name is Micah Harmon. I'm the sheriff in Lavaca County. Lavaca County is not a border county. We're 275 miles inland from the border, but we're dealing with the same issues that are being dealt with down here on the border inland. We've had numerous pursuits and bailouts. Two that come to mind are one where there was a pursuit and the vehicle crashed into a tree. It caught on fire. It had approximately 18 to 20 individuals in it, in the pickup. There was numerous injuries, and that depletes all our resources. Our county is only 19,000 people, and so it depletes our resources. We had to deploy all of our EMS people, our fire departments, all of our law enforcement, and it's a burden and it's a strain on our community having to deal with this. It's not just a border problem. It's not just a Texas problem. It's an America problem, and we have to force the federal government to act on this. We appreciate General Paxton with the lawsuits that he has filed. We have to get the attention of the federal government to step up, allow their border patrolmen to do their job, and let's stop this crisis down here at the border. Thank you all very much.
Sheriff Pinky Gonzalez from Refugio County.
How are y'all doing? My name is Pinky Gonzalez. I'm the sheriff of Refugio County. Refugio County is approximately 180 miles north of here. It's a little rural town with a population under 8,000, but we have just been overwhelmed. What I'm holding here are call slips that have gone through the sheriff's office since January. Lots of call slips on undocumented immigrants and chases, and it just been a burden to our town and to our people. We have had these human smugglers go through our town going 80 miles an hour on 35-mile speed zones. I mean, this is serious stuff. They have no regards for property or human lives, I mean, at all. We have just been overwhelmed with these cases. I have 13 deputies working around the clock, and sometimes I have to call those that are off to come help us. I don't know how many call slips I've got here. I've got plenty of them. Each call slip requires us to work anywhere from 8 to 12 hours on one case. On one case, depleting our resources. We're a rural town. We've got a limited budget, and we're just overwhelmed with this. We have never seen anything like this. I mean, we have dealt with these illegals coming across, coming through our town. Now they're stealing vehicles. We just got through working a case where we had 20 of them bailed out. These bailouts have increased too. They're 10s, they're 20, 15, and we just don't have enough officers. If it wasn't for these brothers and sisters back here behind us in green, I don't know what we do. You know, we team up together and just try to do our darnest. You know, but they're overwhelmed. We're overwhelmed. But I have calculated over 3,000 man hours, deputy man hours since January. Not counting DPS, not counting our border patrols, our EMS. It's got to stop. It really does. It just has to stop. And I appreciate General Paxton coming here and supporting his great state of Texas and the people. And we do, like Sheriff Harmon said, I think our presidential administration up in Washington needs to go to Plan B or do something. We just can't continue. We just cannot. And I thank you very much.
Sheriff, now we have Jackson County Sheriff A.J. Lauterbach.
Sheriff Louderback from Jackson County. I've been down here 4 times in the last 2 months. I appreciate, first off, a commitment from General Paxton, and I certainly want to thank the men and women of the U.S. Border Patrol, the men and women of the Texas Department of Public Safety. These folks, the sheriffs here in Texas, the border sheriffs, the nationwide issue that we're facing here over these policies from the Biden administration. So Texas is a unique place. Texas is a fantastic state, but we're witnessing here over and over and over and over again and again destructive policies that are detrimental to Texans and Americans in our nation. The American people will solve this at some point in time. Our duty right now is to inform and make sure that the American people understand what's actually happened with policies that are put in place that are truly harmful to this nation. So I appreciate y'all's time. I appreciate the airtime for this. Please get this message out as we try and bring this information to a point here in Texas where something can be accomplished and done here to protect our citizens, which is what we're trying to do. So thank you again for your time today. And again, thank you, General Paxton. Sure.
So there's a reason that we've sued the Biden administration 5 times over immigration. Tremendous harm is being done to this state. Tremendous harm is being done to this nation. The cartels are being enriched, given the opportunity to smuggle drugs, given the opportunity to human traffic, given the opportunity to charge these people exorbitant costs for getting into our state. And we're going to do our best to force the federal government to follow the very laws that they passed and the very laws that they're supposed to follow, including President Biden, who's supposed to enforce these laws, not say that they don't matter. So I'm here to do that. We're going to continue that fight, and hopefully we can begin to protect the citizens of this state and the citizens of this nation. So with that, I think we can open it up for a few questions.
What are you mostly concerned about? COVID, about the migrants being released, or who's making money here?
I'm concerned about all this. Those are all factors that affect Texans negatively. Supposedly COVID was, a big deal that we all shut down for. The economy shut down of the entire United States. Our state shut down. We've gotten it under control, and certainly this doesn't help us as we're trying to open our economy up. It could affect jobs, it could affect health, it could cost people's lives, but then also the crime increase with the cartels having more access because, look, our Border Patrol is tied up now with transportation, logistics, and taking care of these kids and families. There's not as many resources to guard the border, which means that the cartels have greater access. They have greater access to bring their drugs in, and that's why these sheriffs are here, because they are suffering the consequences of those policies.
Did you meet with any local sheriffs?
Wait, let me go here first, I'll come back.
Sorry. Let's talk about the impact this could have in a city, in Kansas City or somewhere in the Midwest, about the drugs coming in. If there's people that think, well, I don't live along the border, this doesn't concern me. Let's talk about that, General Paxton, because I think that's important.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, this is just a launching point. They get across the river with their drugs or their whatever they're smuggling, and it's going around the country. So Americans may think this is a border problem, and certainly it is most intense here, and it affects us maybe more, but it ultimately does affect the entire country because COVID is also being spread past Texas borders by the fact that they're here and they're moving on to other places, and people are being infected here. And then we also just have the whole issue with drugs and human trafficking. That will affect the entire nation. So thank you for that question. Yes, sir.
Did you meet with any of the local sheriffs, and did you invite any of them to come with you today?
So I don't have the list of the sheriffs we invited. We invited numerous sheriffs. We had met with some others yesterday, so this isn't the whole group. I don't have the entire list. We can get that to you. So,
any other questions?
General, I have a question. Can you talk about people's private property, their private land? And I know the sheriffs probably have a comment on that. I mean, ranchers. What's happening when the smugglers come in and they need a place to get the people through?
That is such a great question. I'm going to let you answer that because you guys deal with this every day. So if you don't mind, you see it and you can speak for the sheriffs about what you see every day.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. It's Texas landowners, homeowners here. Imagine you wake up every day and you look at a game camera if you live in any of the counties around here, up and down the Texas border, and you see groups between 50 to 100 that are within 50 yards of your home every day, trespassing on your property, cutting your fences. We had information yesterday from one Texas sheriff from Kinney County where 26 fences cut in one day. 26 fences. So imagine that's your property. Imagine that your property is trespassed every day from people from another country and live that type of life where you can't go to your barn at night. You can't have your kids go home from school early for fear that they're going to be encountered by someone that they don't know. So imagine that and put yourself in those shoes and put yourself in that position. Put your wife and your children in those positions day after day under these policies, and you'll understand the frustration that Texas sheriffs have and Texas law enforcement is experiencing right now.
Well, what if I say no to a drug smuggler? Look, it's my property. You can't come on.
Do you think that's how effective do you think that is? I mean, these are real world problems and real world questions that are affecting Texas and America from these policies.
Next question.
General Paxton, I have a question. So just recently, one of the Gulf Cartel leaders was captured. I know that Texas and Tamaulipas, right over there, they have a system where if you know and have tips, you can send them in either location. I guess what's the update, or how does the state work with Tamaulipas? Because a lot of people are waiting across from Tamaulipas, and this is the biggest, entry point. Is there any updates on that? How do you explain that?
I don't have any updates. All I know is that when I've been down here, the cooperation between the feds with Border Patrol, Customs Enforcement, and state police in our office and the sheriffs has been remarkable. And I think if you interviewed every one of these guys back here, they would tell you that there's a lot of sharing of information. There's a lot of backup because, we need all the resources we can get. We need to do this together. And we are doing this together despite the impediments that the federal government puts in the place of even their own people. Let's do one more question. Okay. Anybody else? Brian?
I want to talk about the impact this has on the schools. Local schools are already packed, right, with the surge of population here in the state of Texas. Then you add on all these kids coming across. How's that disrupting the learning process?
Well, this is one of my frustrations is that, we have a budget in Texas. We do it every 2 years. We try to figure out what our costs are going to be. And when you bring these education costs in, we're required by a Supreme Court precedent to educate these kids. And so it adds to our costs significantly because it's expensive to educate kids. And so these schools are now having to take on this responsibility that they didn't know they were going to have to fund. And it puts a lot of pressure on our school system, and it puts a lot of pressure on their ability to educate the kids that are already there when they're having to bring in new kids, one that may not be fluent in English, and so they got to deal with that, but also may not be up to par on their grade level. So it definitely siphons resources from what is already a stretched system. So anyway, I'll do one more, and then we got to go.
Any idea why local media...
No, let her ask. You already got one.
What was your message to Biden and Vice President Harris as he heads into his congressional address tonight, his 100th day in office on Friday? They've yet to visit the border. What do you tell them directly? I
would ask them to set aside the politics and please care. Please care about my state. Please care about the border states. Please care about the rest of the country. The fact that they're not coming down here, the fact that it seems like they're trying to hide a lot of what's going on. They're very, very secretive. They're not letting us know who's coming in, who's leaving. There should be more cooperation. If they're going to have this open border policy, we're going to be affected by it every day. And so I would ask them, one, follow the law. Start following the law. Go to policies that work, and please care about our state because it doesn't seem like they really care right now. So thank you all very much, and thank these guys for everything they've done. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right, you heard a few words from Ken Paxton and some 4 sheriffs here that have been talking about the conditions in their counties and where they live, and talking about what they're seeing and how it's impacting everyday life, and it's impacting people from across not only this region, across the state of Texas, but also across the nation, as this is a problem that will come to your doorstep. It's just not limited to Texas, Arizona, California, New Mexico, all these southern border states. This is going to affect you if you're watching us in the Midwest or anywhere. So anyway, welcome. You're just now joining us. We are live here just south of McAllen and Mission along the Rio Grande River. We just wrapped up about a 22-minute press conference with Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, and some local sheriffs as well, sharing their thoughts on what's going on here along the border. And we talked about the crime, we talked about the stash, the cars that would be stolen, and the fact that there's many people that are, going into local communities, being disruptive to personal property, to businesses, to stealing cars. We've heard even one example of a crash that happened. So you're seeing quite a bit of, let's see if we push that. There we go. Get the camera off the tripod here. We can walk around a little bit. So we appreciate your hanging in there. We're going to see if we can get a few words with General Paxton. Let's see if we can walk that way perhaps, and just bear with us as we continue our coverage here as we are live. And we encourage you to share this broadcast as Attorney General Ken Paxton did earlier, which is nice. It's always nice when they're able to share your broadcast and get as many eyeballs on it as possible. We'll see if we can't find them over here. Of course, Sandra Witten is here. We'll talk to you here in just a second. What's your thoughts, what you heard so far?
I think that Ken Paxton was spot on. I really appreciated that there was sheriffs that were not directly here on the border, and they said it best, this is the launching pad for the crisis to America. And so I really appreciate the fact that the sheriffs were here. They were speaking about the problems that we've been hearing also. So, this is not just a border crisis problem. This is an American problem, and we've got to be vigilant. We've got to let people know to always be alert. If you can carry or constitutional carry, please do, because you just never know what's going to run right through your yard.
Yeah, that was a great question asked earlier about what do you do if someone asks and comes on your property. You just got to say, well, you got to protect yourself. We'll come back to you, see if we can catch up. Thank you. Come up with Ken as we'll make our way over here. He's doing some media underneath the shade, which is pretty nice. The wind has picked up a little bit as we go up here. Before we get to that, real quickly, Alexandra Lains, just want to get your comments. You saw the press conference. What's your thoughts?
Just like I've been saying all week, it's a different perspective actually being down here and seeing that this is an obvious crisis, obvious humanitarian crisis, and we have guys here that are doing the dirty work, and they're going out and they're trying to protect our borders. This is a serious issue that they see activity every single day, and it's the Biden administration that needs to bring more light to it.
Yeah, drop the mic on that, because that's exactly what's happening. And of course, stay tuned. We were able to walk the border early this morning to show you some portions that are not complete. We show some portions that are wide open. So stay tuned for that, because we are going to push that out here to all of our social media platforms here shortly. He is currently doing an interview right now. I don't want to roll up on him as he's doing that, so we're going to wait patiently over here. Can we get a few minutes with him next? Okay, thanks. All right, so anyway, there you have it. If you would, please share this broadcast, because we get a lot of questions on immigration, the border, what's happening here in Texas and across the desert Southwest. So share this. I mean, you heard from Attorney General Ken Paxton. This is a real issue. This is what we need the Biden administration to come down. Let's see if we can talk to some of these sheriffs over here. Perhaps they get a few words in with them while we wait for. You mind if we have a few words with you? Brian Glenn with Right Side Broadcasting.
Micah Harmon, Lavaca County Sheriff.
Nice to meet you. We are live on the air right now. We just had this press conference live in its entirety. I heard your thoughts on what's going on here, and I hope it's an eye-opening experience for people watching us right now, that the reality of the crisis and what we have here can come to your hometown no matter where you live.
It doesn't matter where you live. As I said, it's not a border problem. It's not just a Texas problem. I hear from sheriffs all over the United States. This issue is affecting the whole United States. And we had a policy in place with the last administration that was working. It was working great. And with the stroke of a pen, the current administration comes in and just reverses everything. and now we're dealing with the carnage of that. So it's very frustrating, and we appreciate the media that get it out there to the people. There's a lot of media that is not reporting this stuff, and we know who they are, but we appreciate the media that comes out to these press conferences and gets this out to the people, so the people know what is really going on.
We were able to tour portions of the wall there that had just stopped, and we were talking to some local people that lived in the area, and it was really disheartening when they heard that this border construction would halt, because they looked forward to the protection that provided to not only their business but to their home.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's costing the government more money to not build the wall than if they would have completed the wall. So there's no reason for them not to complete the wall, and so we're just dealing with this open borders administration that just want to invite everybody in.
Yeah. What could happen right now? What does Joe Biden and his administration need to do? What is the message tonight that he can address the Congress, or put in place that would help the people of Texas?
Well, he needs to go back and look at the policies that were in place a year ago, 2 years ago, and remain in Mexico while you're seeking asylum. All of those things. It was brought out during his campaign that it was going to be open borders. So he's got to get the word out to tell these cartels and these human traffickers, okay, stop. We're not letting y'all in anymore. We're putting the Border Patrol back to work.
That message needs to be said, and we want to thank all of our men and women that work on the Border Patrol and the Texas State Highway. I mean, those officers are running up and down our highways trying to look for bad guys as well.
Yes, your state police, your DPS is down here doing the Border Patrol's job, and it's not the state and local agency's job to do immigration enforcement. It's up to the federal government, and the federal government, the President of the United States, is not allowing his Border Patrolmen to do their job.
Just do their job. Well, God bless you for doing your job and coming down here. We appreciate meeting you, and if you guys want to share your thoughts as well, I'm more than happy to. I'd have kind of run into you guys looking nice out there, as always, right? So what's your guys' thoughts on the message that we had today, and some of the feedback and some of the things you saw along your river and along the tour of the border?
So I'm Sheriff Vickery from McAllen County. This is our county judge, Judge Richard Meyer. And although we're not right here, we're about 2.5, 3 hours away. Yep. We're seeing a huge influx in the narcotics increase of human smuggling increase, indentured slavitude, and it's filtering north. Badly.
I live up in Collin County, and I just a matter of time before we see an influx in my county. And if you think your county is safe, and if you live, I'm talking to Texas right now, if you think your county is safe because I'm away from all of this, you're absolutely wrong.
There's not a highway in the state that's not being affected right now, north, any direction you go. And this human smuggling deal and stolen vehicles is just a tremendous. You were describing
some of that where they've got 15, 20 people piling out of a vehicle. I mean, what a mess that's got to be.
Oh, that's just every day.
Every day.
Well, and also make no mistake, these guys know all of the back roads and ranch roads. Thanks to Google Earth, they can get on a map, and they know exactly how to go from one place to another without maybe hitting a major highway. Yeah. They're going through fences. They're costing these cattle ranchers tons and tons of money. In having to do repair and losing cattle. So it's not just it's a multifaceted problem.
Yeah. Well, we certainly appreciate you guys joining us here. God bless both of you guys. Have a safe trip, journey, and whatever we can do viewer-wise to help these guys, pray for them. We need prayers. There's power in prayer, right? Let's not.
No, we definitely need the prayer, and we need to get the message out. We need to let the public know that whatever spin you want to put on it, we don't care about the politics side of it. This is a crisis that's affecting everybody, and it doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, or nonpartisan. It's affecting everybody across the board. It's just not a good thing right now.
Yeah, not a good thing. Well, God bless both of you guys. Have a safe trip back. There you go. And so we're going to wait for Attorney General Ken Paxton. Maybe we can get with him couple minutes. Let's see if we can walk over here real quick. Don't step on the microphone. Let's see if we can walk over here and grab him. I hate to just roll up on him. Can I have a few minutes with him? We're live on the air. A few minutes? See if we can get a few minutes with Attorney General Ken Paxton. Just 2-3 minutes? Yeah. All right, we're live. Okay, so we'll wait for him. As we wait for Attorney General Ken Paxton to share his thoughts on this. We want to encourage you right now to go to mypillow.com, and put in the promo code RSBN at checkout, because that is one way that you can fight cancel culture. And that's exactly what's going on. We talked about the media sometimes suppressing what's going on here at the border. Well, they're suppressing Mike Lindell and his products. So go to mypillow.com and put in the promo code RSBN and get up to 66% off. And that is one way that not only can you pick up some terrific things there. You've got the dog beds, the Giza sheets, the pillows, the slippers, which I had on right now. A ton of products at the My Store as well. So go shop and fight with your dollar. Fight with the almighty purchasing power, and can buy from conservatives that really have stepped out in the public sphere to protect our rights and conservative values that we all can agree and abide by. So please go to the website, mypillow.com, put in the promo code RSBN at checkout and get up to 66% off. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on him. We are live. He's on standby right over there. Not sure if he's about to jump on this broadcast. Yes, he is. Okay, he's about to jump on another broadcast, which opens up a little bit of window for us. Let's see if we can get Maria Bartiromo. I don't know if we can have a few minutes with her, and I'm not sure if she's willing to come on the air or not. We're going to ask her before I roll up on her. She has a great... Maria, I don't know if you're able to... See if she's able to... We'll see if she's talking to somebody. I don't want to roll up on her, but... See if we can get a few minutes with her. As she's talking to some of the sheriffs here in Texas. They were on a boat tour earlier, doing all of that, and I'm sure that was an eye-opening experience for her. And Maria, can we get a few minutes with you? We're live on the air, if that's okay? No? Yes? I just want a few minutes with you. We're live on there. I just want to get your thoughts on, you were on the boat, you did the tour with Attorney General Ken Paxton. What's your thoughts? And this is Texas, much different scenario that you're dealing with up in New York.
Well, it was unbelievable what we saw. We saw a park when we were on the boat that you can't even go to the park unless you give the drug smugglers money. People have private land, and some of the cartels go to the private landowners and say, look, get out, otherwise I'm taking your grandkids. We need this land to move people through. I mean, people have lost private property. People have lost their rights. This is a real crisis situation, and we actually toured a lot of things that I knew how bad it was, but now I see it's an incredible catastrophe.
Yeah, as we were walking some of the trails along the Rio Grande River, we were hearing the stories of young kids being trafficked and sometimes turning violent and very sexual. And I don't know, I'm a parent of three. This hits home for me.
Of course it does. They're paying $4,000 for a kid, and if you come from somewhere else, I mean, I heard one person told me earlier, an agent told me that he apprehended people from China. They charged the Chinese $50,000. So it depends on where you come. The people who are winning in all of this are the drug cartels and the smugglers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, God bless you for being out here. We're big fans of you. You keep fighting. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, everybody. What a treat that is. While Attorney General Ken Paxton's over there wrapping up an interview. Yes, sir. Hey, thank you so much, and thank you for coming out here. Anything else as parting thoughts on all of this before you guys head back to your counties?
Well, there's so much more information here that we cannot get into today, but there's so much fear and concern with the public today. We have numerous weapons incidents already. So as we strive to get a handle on this and do what we can to inform the public, but there's a lot more information. There's a lot more duty for us to inform properly the American people on what's happening here.
I want people to basically pay attention to what's going on, because like we said, we're not going to hear this on a lot of the mainstream media. They're very selective of what they talk about when it comes to the border. They almost feel like it was a problem when President Trump was in office. And yes, we always have a border. And look, the border's always open. We always have a problem, right? But it's
always been politicized, and that's one thing that we've tried to do. Is not a Democrat, not a Republican issue. It's a national border security issue. Let's clean that up. Let's get politics out of this and secure our national border here.
Yeah, and God bless all the men and women that are behind us that are really
thank you for your reporting and coming and asking us the tough questions. So appreciate that.
We appreciate that. Thank you for being out here. God bless. Safe trip going back. I want to bring Sandra Whitten in the picture again to talk about what you witnessed today. We spent some time with you yesterday. That piece is going to be pushed out on our social media here shortly so that you can see it. But these sheriffs, laying out the story of cars being hijacked and carjacked and 15, 20 people pulling out of a car. I can imagine that being on the daily basis here.
Right. It's
like this is something out of a video game.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It kind of reminds you of the old clown car kind of concepts. But what they're finding in these counties, and we see it all the time in our districts also, and several of our county judges are actually declaring states of emergency because they're seeing where cars are being taken sometimes 10 a day, 10 at a time. They're being gutted so that there's only a driver's seat so that they can fit these many people in there. We're getting reports of lines to water wells being cut on the ranches and things like that. So it's important that these sheriffs are getting in front of this and letting the public know and saying, hey, speak up, please be seen, please be heard, because we have got to stop this. And I guarantee that if you ask any of them, the best way to stop this is to eliminate the cartel, make DC do their job, get the Biden administration involved, and have them quit playing these political games that they are.
And as we were on stakeout yesterday in Roma, at the Roma Bluffs, we felt the surveillance that was on our crew here from the drug cartels, from people driving by, keeping an eye on us, not only from the U.S. side, but from the Mexico side. So this is something that, can you imagine being an innocent family living along the border here, just trying to live your life? But as the sheriff said, you've got to be on the lookout whether or not you're the next victim of a drive-by carjacking, or perhaps they're going to kidnap your kid and have them some type of ransom. It is lawless. If you think these people come over here to obey the law and follow our guidelines, you are mistaken. That's not the case. Now, granted, there are some fine people, some families, some kids that want to come here for a better life, and God bless them. Let's get them the shelter and the medical attention they need. We are not talking about those people. I'm talking about the hardened criminals who come across the border.
Right. And being a family that lives on the border, I can tell you it is nerve-wracking. It's something that you think about all the time. If you own a pickup truck, especially if it's one with one of the crew cabs.
You know what's funny? The rental car that we picked up in San Antonio, I had a choice between an F-250 and a minivan. And guess which one I picked? The minivan, because I knew the F-250 was on the highest list of vehicles that someone wants to steal. Not a U.S. The immigrants want to steal. That's a high demand vehicle. And you can look it up. It's one of the top most stolen vehicles in America. So that's why I didn't rent the F-250, because I'm afraid to get stolen.
Right. And that's exactly it. Your insurance is going to be more on it. I bet it was probably more expensive to even rent it because especially if they found out you were coming down here to the border. That's one of the things that they look for. They look for people who aren't going to be paying attention. They know that if it's a rental car, especially, it's somebody who may not be as aware of what's actually going on the border. So they're going to take advantage of that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just the reality of all of this because this is crime. I mean, there's a lot of people, like we said, that are coming here willfully and they want to obey the law, but there's a lot of people who are coming to commit crimes and steal and do all of that. Ken Paxton is still kind of wrapping up an interview over there with Maria from Fox Business. I believe she's over there doing her thing, which is great. She was on with us for a few minutes, and I appreciate that. And so hopefully we can kind of hang in there and wait for that. But I do want to bring this as a reminder. Let's see, make sure I got any notes here. As a reminder, we continue to expand all of our platforms. As you can imagine, you've been censored by big tech. Yeah. It's just it's the world we live in. It's 2021. It's like if you're a conservative voice, you're either getting suppressed, either down, completely eliminated, But there's a boat parade coming up on May 31st in Jupiter, Florida, that the organizers for that boat parade have told me that they keep taking down their promotional posts for this boat parade. So what I'm getting to right now is we continue to expand our platform. We're going to be rolling out some terrific ways to be able to view all of our content, and really in a way that protects us from being disrupted.
Yeah, it's important that we have to kind of, sometimes we have to use a little cloak and dagger, use several names. I know for us, we're Sandra for Texas. We're also Texas Fully Loaded, so make sure you're following us because you're right. We've got to band together, and the more outlets that we have, the stronger our message is going to come across, and they're going to realize that they can't keep silencing us. And we saw the same thing through all the Trump trains and all the Trump events where they were just targeting us and silencing us and, narrowing our targets. So
yeah. Okay, I tell you what, we're going to wrap it up here, and when we get an interview with Attorney General Ken Paxton, we will upload that separately. But we'll go ahead and wrap it up from here. And as always, we appreciate everybody watching it. And you can support this network by going to mypillow.com. That's mypillow.com. Put in the promo code RSBN at checkout, and you'll get up to 66% off. That's a pretty big savings.
Fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And he's
go order a pillow now.
Yeah, and use my phone real quick. You can order a pillow right now. But anyway, go check it out because he is a true patriot, and portions of those proceeds go to help this conservative network as we move out of the Trump era, because that's what we hunt. We were the wheelhouse. We were the Trump network during his candidacy. We got over probably 300 million views to his rallies. So we are the Trump network. But as we continue to put America First network, and that's exactly what it's all about. America First. That's it. And of course, anybody in the White House with the last name Trump, I am all for it. If you want to put Barron Trump in the White House right now, I'm all for it. At least I know where he comes from, right? So go to our website there at rsbnetwork.com, rsbnetwork.com/donate to give what you can to continue this fight. I'll leave you with this. Along the banks here of the beautiful Rio Grande River here in South Texas. Until next time, goodbye and God bless.